let's talk about this SpiderHolster, the best way for any photographer to carry their camera. But what's new with SpiderHolster? Coming up. Hey, this is Scott Wyden Giveaway, a storyteller with a camera talking about all the things photographers like you and I are thinking about. In this video, we're going to be talking about SpiderHolster, and more specifically, what is new at SpiderHolster. So the way that SpiderHolster works is you've got a belt with their holster on it, and the holster is a 2-pin style system where when it's up, when the little lever is up, it's actually unlocked, and you can slide in your camera and slide it back out. And when it's down, it's actually locked, and you can slide something in, but it's actually locked in there. So for years, I have been using a setup like this. This is the Think Tank Photo belt. The Think Tank belt allows me to have all their module bags, all their pouches, slide around the belt with ease. And then I have the SpiderHolster. In theory, I'd have it in two places. I'd have it in one side of the belt and the other. And I have two holsters. Now, this is the Think Tank belt, but Spider has their own. So I want to show you theirs instead of the Think Tank one. All right, so here is the original Spider belt. This is it was great to see when SpiderHolster came out with this years ago, but it's a little chintzy on the padding side. It's a lot of Velcro, and it was not the easiest to adjust. And I'm happy to say that has changed, and you'll see that in a second. But what is the key about this is you've got the belt, right? And actually their lock system is really good. It's got a safety pin in there, so you can't just squeeze the ends and it won't just unclip. You got to push the middle button too. The key here is that you've got this pad that is actually quite padded. It's hard on the back side that actually is on your hip, but then the front side where the camera sits has some padding. Then you would take your holster and literally slide it on there, and then you would take these little bungees that are here and you'd wrap it around the bottom to secure the holster to it, and then you couldn't take it out, right? But I rarely use this. I used it a couple times, but I already had the Think Tank belt, so I wound up, buying the adapter to use these on the Think Tank belt because you can actually change the pin or the whole system on the back of this and get it to work on the Think Tank belt perfectly. And so I just barely use this. And the reason is because I have a belt that is actually perfect to hold the SpiderHolster. And so one of the things that SpiderHolster has done recently is they've redesigned their belt. And I want to show you what that looks like. Here's the old one. Looks a little similar, right? Now, it's a little different, and I want to show you why it's a little different. But let's start with the buckle. The old buckle has the safety button in the middle. The new one has a more modern style safety buckle. It's still push that button in the middle in order to unlock it, but it's not a giant, circle button. So it's a little bit safer to unlock and lock. It also feels like it's a stronger plastic, and it has a little bit more curve to it. So it actually will bend with your hip and your waist a little bit more. Next up is the actual pad, the sort of strap that goes around you more. It actually has more padding. You can see there's more padding, and the padding can move, so it goes to wherever you need it to go. I also found that it's just easier to adjust. I don't know why. I mean, it seems like the same system, but it just was easier with the Velcro. All I had to do was undo it, tighten it to my hip, and then tighten it and Velcro. Now on the padding side, the interesting thing about this is it actually is still very padded, but it's a different type of padding. It's thinner, as you can see. It's actually thinner. Let's see if I can get that. So it doesn't have any curves to the pad itself, but it is still very cushioned. I don't know if it's a memory foam or what in here, but it's very cushioned. And the thing that really threw me over the top was that the SpiderHolster is now on top of permanently on the Spider Pad 2. And you can see it's actually screwed into the back. Now, the SpiderHolster also has a new metal. You can see it's black. It's metal right there. This is metal too, but it's a different type of metal. This is thinner, and it's black, so it doesn't stand out as much. Now, I kind of wish that the actual holster was black too, so that it was all black, but that's okay. They do have a black Widow, which is meant for smaller cameras, and that is a black holster. Now, here's the thing. I wish that this thinner metal was also compatible with just a standard belt, but it's not. It's actually meant for this holster. So that is a little bit of a downside. I'm sure I could, unscrew this and then slide my belt into it and stuff if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it like so. I am actually going to be using this from now on, and I am going to be using it sort of on top of my belt if I decide to do that every so often. I'm not going to always use the other belt that I have and to use the SpiderHolster as is. I want to start using the new system because of how much better it actually is. It is also branded in a different way. It's funny, the old one, the branding was right there in the middle of that leather. And the new one, the branding is off to the side. So even if you have a camera there, you're still seeing the SpiderHolster brand. That was obviously for branding. Doesn't make any functionality difference. It just means that you're now, you're advertising the company whose product you're using. Sort of like if you're using a Nikon strap that comes with your Nikon camera or a Canon strap that comes, same sort of thing. Not a big deal. It's just, it is what it is. That's business. This was the old SpiderHolster plate. It would basically go on the bottom of your camera like so. Now I use an L bracket from Really Right Stuff, so I actually do not use the plates because I am using the Spider clamp. This actually is an Arca Swiss clamp. You slide it into Arca Swiss, you tighten it, and now you have the ball on either side of however you want it. And so that is what I'm using on my cameras. When you have a camera that doesn't have an L bracket, you can actually just use the Spider plate as is. Now the Spider plate goes on the bottom of the camera and has sort of like a anti-spinning, anti-twisting system built into it. You can put 1 or 2 balls on it however you want, and it's good, right? But they redesigned it in the version 2. So here is the version 2. Now the first thing you'll see is the design is actually a little bit different. It gives you a little bit more space between the 2 balls, and the balls actually lock into it. It's actually screwed in from the back and the front, so they sort of connect. There are some other advantages, of course. There's also an anti-skid right built in, so instead of you needing another screw to do it, you actually got this rubber in here that'll stop it from twisting. And my favorite part is that what they've done is they've built in an Allen key, this hex wrench right here, that I can now push and spring out of the system, and I can now use that to tighten everything. Not only will it tighten the plate to your camera, but it will also tighten the actual balls that are screwed into the clamp. So now in one spot, you've got everything where you need it, and it just snaps right back in using a spring system. Really, really nice. So it's a really clever design from SpiderHolster. They're really taking things to new levels, being able to open up the doors of what you can do with their product. Yeah, really beautiful. And the material feels the same. It's a little bit more textured, so I think that's good because it gives you a little more grip on it. But otherwise, it's just a nice upgrade to a system that was already fantastic. Now, if you use long lenses like so, you're going to have a sort of a tripod foot on your lens. Now, I use a Really Right Stuff foot, so I actually replaced the foot that came with this with the Really Right Stuff one, and it goes right into my tripod. But if you're using a lens like this, you actually don't attach your camera to your tripod or to your holster, because then it defeats the purpose of why you have this, and it's going to potentially break all the weight's going to be in the front, so you're potentially going to break the lens mount. So you want to make sure that you're actually attaching your tripod or your holster to the lens, not the body. And that's where this comes in. This is the new Spider tripod plate, and this also does very simple thing. You just screw it right in, right? So I can actually screw this right in to the bottom of this foot and just screw it in, and now I have a pin right there that I can easily, very easily, just attach to my SpiderHolster. And here's the coolest part. They actually made this Arca Swiss. Put it on my holster and then put it on my tripod without having to remove this. So that's a really good thing for when I'm traveling and I'm using the holster a lot and a tripod a lot. This is just fantastic. And of course they did what the camera plate does, and there's an anti-skid rubbering on the bottom of it as well. And plus, it's just perfect. It sits there perfectly, and that's it. So I'm excited to take advantage of what SpiderHolster is doing, innovating in this field of transporting your equipment without hurting your back. I'm really excited about it, and I will have more footage, more thoughts on the Spider system to come, of course. And please, if you're interested in the Spider system, use my coupon code, which is in the description below of this video, and let me know if you have any questions. If you like this video, click that subscribe button below. I publish new videos every Monday and Thursday, whenever possible. You don't want to miss it.